Well, good evening. It's still evening, not morning yet. Well, we're excited. Obviously, a very successful session. We've closed out passing all of the big bills that we had promised and delivered for Minnesotans in all of the ways that we said we would. We passed the federal tax conformity bill. That also has $225 million of school safety money in it. Of emergency school funding to give access to additional dollars for school districts that need that. We want to make sure that we give them the resources they need to provide the jobs for the teachers and keep the classroom sizes down. So pretty successful night tonight, I think, with also passing a bonding bill at $825 million general obligation. That bill also had another $25 million of school safety money in it in cash, so schools have access to those dollars to keep their buildings safe in a way that works best for their school district. So what else did we do tonight?
We did all sorts of stuff all session, and obviously we did really great stuff. And I just want to emphasize that we passed these bill in good faith effort to get as close to the governor as possible. One thing we did was we passed an additional 4 items in the end.
Like more than that, 5 or 6.
4 or 5. Well, I think it was 4 total, but several more items to get closer to the governor's position on the supplemental spending bill. So again, it was about 75 items that we removed, either deleted or revised the language so that we get closer to him in the supplemental budget. We did that as well tonight. And again, over $225 million of available funding for the safe schools for students to use and schools to use this year. So we're very, very pleased with where we are, and we hope the governor reconsiders his earlier discussions and that he will give serious thought to signing all of our bills.
So were those changes that were made late that you referenced, was that in response to some discussions late tonight with the governor's office, and is he kind of backing off his earlier comments?
There were conversations going on throughout the day. I think there were conversations going on throughout the day today. I'm not sure they were kind of on again, off again, or start-stop. I'm not sure how those conversations went late in the day as we were busy working on other things. But Chair Knobloch did bring a bill to remove another handful of items that were on the governor's list of objections. And really, I hope the governor sees that as a good faith effort on our part to get that bill closer to something that he can sign. There's a lot of really important provisions in that spending bill. And I think at the end of the day, when the governor reviews that bill, he's going to find out that it actually is something he should sign, and we think that he will.
If he vetoes the spending bill,
if you don't have a tax bill or a spending bill, as the governor does say he'll veto both, what is the legacy of this session? What have you accomplished?
You know what? We got our work done. Unfortunately, it's not always easy to engage this governor, and in the number of years that I've worked with him now, every year it gets a little more difficult to get him engaged early enough in the process to make a meaningful difference. This year, obviously, the governor wasn't as engaged as we had hoped and wasn't coming to the table to actually negotiate the differences. But we took whatever effort we could to try to get closer to positions that we believed he would have, and we voluntarily removed provisions that we knew he would find objectionable. So we believe these are good bills that the governor should sign, and we're optimistic that he will.
Can I talk about some of the things in the bill? I want to talk about some of the things that are in the bill. There's money for opioids in the bill, which the governor has identified as a priority. There's some language on elder care and some good reforms in elder care. There's money for mental health for both the kids and for farmers. There's money for chronic wasting disease. There's some really good legislation that closes a sex offender loophole that's really important to kids and families in Minnesota. There's about $7 million more for additional guardians ad litem to protect kids. So there's just a ton of stuff in addition to the $28 million for safe schools in that bill that they can use. They have flexibility to use for resource offices or mental health. So there's just a ton of stuff in that bill. And then additionally in the tax bill, we gave the governor more than he asked for emergency funding, access to the funds. And the tax bill itself, we lowered the tax rates for the lowest 2 tax brackets, which the governor, hopefully he would agree to that that's a good thing for Minnesotans. And by doing that, instead of raising taxes on Minnesotans, we've lowered the taxes for a lot of Minnesotans. So I certainly hope that he will sign them, because those bills they're really good bills, and I really hope he takes the time to sign them or to read the bills and realize that it would be really a disservice to Minnesota if he decided to veto them.
Don?
I had to ask one question.
Okay. Anybody else?
That last bill on the opioids, what does that do? How does that serve?
Actually, there was some language in that last bill that would created an opioid. Somebody else probably should answer that for you. You know what? When you get over to the other chamber in a few minutes, ask Julie Rosen. I know it creates a advisory council, I think is the right terminology, to make some recommendations on how to deal with the opioid crisis, but she can be a little more specific. It did not. The money actually was carried in the supplemental spending bill, so the money was there to do it.
Any regret on the override vote?
You know, obviously, on the deputy register issue and the override vote that we took, I think that was actually the only override vote in all 8 years of this governor's term. Was it the second? Was there one other? Okay. I didn't remember that. But, you know, I felt it was important that we give Democrats an opportunity to show deputy registers that we can help them out in a time when this has created quite a crisis for them. And it wasn't brought on by themselves. It was brought on by this administration and the failures of the MNLARS system. So, you know, it really was an opportunity where Democrats could step up and join with Republicans to have these people's back. And unfortunately, they did not do that. They chose to defend the governor's veto over sending this money out to people that dearly need it. So I'm afraid for what might happen to some of the deputy registers that will not be getting these funds. And I'm afraid for the people that are going to have to explain why they voted the way they voted today.
How do you feel the work you did this session will play out on the campaign trail when you're trying to keep your majority?
You know, we feel great, and when we look at not only what we accomplished this session, but what we accomplished in the last session, we put an unprecedented amount of money into road and bridge infrastructure. We passed an unprecedented amount of tax relief. We tackled big, difficult issues like opioids and elder abuse. We're going to have a lot of great things to talk about on the campaign trail, and I'm confident that Minnesotans will place their confidence in us again this November. So we feel good about the election.
They had demanded $1.5 billion. They only needed $8 million to move the needle. What should we take from that?
I couldn't hear your question.
Well, they had demanded $1.5 billion. The government wanted $1.5 billion in bonding, but it only took $8 million to move the needle. Well, how should we?
Well, you know, I don't know. You know, we put together a really great bonding bill, $825 million in general obligation bonds. Obviously, that was what passed off the House floor. We did add in conference committee about $25 million cash for school safety, which we know is important. But you know, obviously that bill passed the first time off the House floor and passed with even a higher number of votes. I think 111 votes tonight. So obviously very well supported and a great investment in infrastructure all over the state. Anything else? Very good. Thank you all. Appreciate you and working with you all session. So thank you.